Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Ascolese, Inventress, here at the Inventress Podcast. I'm always super excited to bring you a new guest. And today I'm extremely excited to introduce you to my guest, Simon from Trench Podcast. Good afternoon. Hi, Simon. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on the show. I am excited to have all the conversations and have all the feels that come with all of it. I love it.
Yeah, you know what? I love your background. I love that purple. I love it. I love the way that looks.
Oh, thanks so much. It was the proof they gave me when I was getting some work done to decide which way I was going to go with the art for my podcast. And the irony is, I think the podcast colors aren't red, or they're not purple rather. But I do love that purple on there, so I can't remove it.
Beautiful. I love it. That's big. That's like royalty.
Oh, yeah, I love it. It's fantastic. I hear you. Royalty. Yeah, let's go with that. Absolutely. Oh,
Let's
I
go
am
with
a
it.
Canadian, so
Oh, there you go. I love it. I love it. Yes, that makes sense. So listen, I'm happy to have you here, but let's talk about what you're doing. You have a podcast. Let's talk about you. Where are you located now? Where are you?
yeah. So it's thank you so much for giving me the opportunity. I will start by saying I am a Canadian. I live in Ottawa, Ontario.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it here. Canada's nation city, nation's capital rather. And I've been in Ottawa for almost a little over 12 years now, which is wild. I love this city. I've been here for that time because I'm in the military and I moved
Okay.
around. I moved
Thank you for
around a
your
whole bunch.
service.
Oh, thank you very much. I started in infantry way back in 1994.
Hmm.
And in our system, you can switch gears after a bunch of years. So I did that. And then I joined the Air Force and I became what's called an aircraft structures technician, which is very, very loosely like auto body for airplanes, painting, welding, machining. You get the idea. And then in our Air Force, when the aircraft maintenance technicians, when we all get promoted to the rank of warrant officer, we all stop becoming technicians. We're no longer on the floor. And we all become what's called an aircraft maintenance superintendent, which is just a fancy way of saying paper pusher. And it's crazy. So we do all that, and it's fantastic. I loved what I was doing,
Uh-huh.
but I realized that when my story is about when I went and started working on a master's degree.
Hmm.
Up to that point, I was all about the military. I was all in. That's what I was always going to do growing up. Everyone knew that was the goal, and I loved it, and I thrived in it. I like order, so it worked well for me. But and I was all in. But the thing was,
Uh-huh.
when I went and got this degree, I was the only military member in the entire cohort, and everyone in the cohort, their job titles had things like started with the letter C, or exec this, or
Uh-huh.
director that, and I was not in that level in my mind. I had convinced
Uh-huh.
myself I had no right for it to be
Mm.
sitting at that table. So I'm doing my thing, and we go to do a residency in Victoria. It's beautiful, and I am looking around and not understanding why I'm there or how I got there. I have
Mm.
nothing to bring. I was so stressed out. I gave myself the common cold. I had never heard of imposter syndrome, but I was giving myself the best version of it. So after a couple days, and people many times telling me I had every right to be there, I very cautiously put my hand up, and I said something to something. I don't remember what it was,
Uh-huh.
and I was fully expecting people to laugh me out of the room and give me an escort to the airport back home. Instead, what I got was, "Hey, Simon, that's incredible. I had never thought of it that way. Your perspective is something I wouldn't normally deal with because I don't know anyone in the military." So I'm like, "Oh, maybe maybe I have value that's outside of the military." And I realized that my entire identity had been locked up into being Simon Cardinal, military guy. Even the reason I joined the military, or I joined this degree program, was to get the post nominals so that I could use that to get myself promoted because education helps. And it was at that point
In
I
the
also,
military. So
it,
getting yourself to a different rank in the military.
that's correct. So get to the rank of chief warrant officer, which is the highest rank we can achieve as a non-commissioned member.
Okay.
And I was a master warrant officer at the time, so one rank lower. So I'm doing my thing. I go and I realize, holy crap, this is not for me. And I'm super close to getting my chiefs. And all I talked about was becoming a chief. But I realize now that my entire identity was wrapped up in that. And I didn't want that anymore. Now that I had opened my eyes to other opportunities, I could see
Hmm.
them. I
Yes.
needed to explore that. So I retired. I left the regular force, which is our version of the active service.
Hmm.
And I worked for a company here for a couple of years doing some different things. And it was at that time when I was also getting close to the end of my degree and I needed to come up with a project and I needed to figure out what I was going to do with all this information I've been stuffing in my brain for 2 years. And I said, the whole time through my degree program, I was thinking to myself, gee, I sure wish I'd heard about this program back when
Uh,
I was a new leader, back when this, and that kept happening time and time and time again. Not necessarily post grad level, but certainly knowing that things exist. I had never heard of imposter syndrome. I had never heard of
Wow.
systems thinking.
You were
And
encapsulated in this world, like you
ex-
were in this world. This
that's
is
exactly it. Exactly. And in our little bubble, we did our thing and it was fine because I was thriving in my little military bubble,
right.
but not knowing anything else was out there. And I was afraid to look. So then I was okay, well, geez, maybe maybe I can help others get that information. And that's ultimately how Trench Leadership came about, because it's a show that is meant for new and emerging leaders to
Hmm.
provide inspiration, practical advice, and real world actionable trench tools for everyone's leadership toolkit. That's a new tagline I came up
I
with.
love that. I like it a lot.
Thank you so much. I love the podcast. I'm 119 episodes in. I have
Good
about
for
15
you.
recorded so far. Oh,
Congratulations.
thank you so much. It's amazing. And I never expected it to go anywhere. Even today, after all these years, I still think it's only me listening to the show afterwards. And even though the numbers tell me otherwise, we're not a huge show. We're doing our thing, but we're definitely cutting our way into the environment, and I love it.
I
And
love it too. And people need your service. They need you. And, I love how you talked about imposter syndrome because it does exist. It really does exist. In many instances, we don't realize the strength and the ability that we have to help others. And I think that's the most important thing that you're doing, being able to help others. Oftentimes I will say to people who come on my podcast or come to our conferences and speak, don't be nervous because you are the expert in this area and they're looking at you for the knowledge and the information that you can provide. So it's a very common thing to walk into a room and think, oh, these people, like you said, they're going to laugh. What do I know? And I love that you've gained the confidence, I'm sure, by doing these podcasts, hosting these podcasts. And the more you speak, right, and the more you train, is the greater your confidence level escalates, right?
Oh, and you're absolutely right. So the big thing for me that I realized was it's okay to make mistakes.
Always.
And exactly, and that's fine. New leaders, one of the challenges that emerging leaders quite often run into is they don't think that they have the ability to make mistakes. That's not accurate. What I love to say in the podcast is that everyone poops. It doesn't
That's
matter. We
right.
all make the mistakes. We
That's
all
right.
do these things, and it's going to happen. And it's what we do with it, what we choose to do with it is really what matters. Do we learn from it and we move on? Or do we hide it and then not really move on and know that we hid something when we should have done it? Like
Yeah, you,
it's
you're
about
you're
making those
not being
choices.
authentic. You're not being authentic. If you can't say, "Oh my gosh, that was a mistake." Do you make mistakes? Not mistakes. They're natural conversations we have, right? The example I use is when you're in a conversation with somebody, you don't say, "Let's rewind that. Let me say that again." We don't even edit on this podcast.
I love it. I
We
love it.
don't because it's normal. I mean, like I said in the beginning, I don't, if dogs are barking and kids are crying, it's normal life. It humanizes us, right? We talked about
Yeah.
it before. It's,
And
so it's anyway, so it's great to provide that. Your humility is awesome, but it's great to provide that level of understanding and communication and that there's really no mistakes. If you don't know something, ask somebody else, right? It's not a mistake. If you're answering a question that you don't know the answer to, that's a mistake. You know what I mean? You're providing tools to people. You're going to give them tools, only the tools that you know about.
and that's exactly it. And if that's the case, then we're not growing, we're not learning, we're not figuring out what those mistakes meant for us. I often talk about the fact that new leaders, emerging leaders, are more often than not brought into those first leadership roles not because of their proven technical skill sets. Most
Hmm.
often, it's their proven skill sets in the roles that they're able to do. It's not their ability to lead, but we don't really know. We hope. And the
Right.
example I often use is because I was a welder. Hey
Mhm.
Simon, you're a really great welder. You're the top welder in your group of your 3 to 5 people. So obviously, you must be able to get promoted and lead that group of 3 to 5 people.
Hmm.
There's no guarantee of that.
Right.
And I can tell you when I got promoted to, so in our system, the first level is master corporal,
Hmm.
and you lead a small group of 7 to 10 people. In my case, it was 5. But I love telling people I was not very good in the beginning. My first couple of
Okay.
years, I struggled. I was not ready for it. I simply did not understand the level of responsibility that came with it. I didn't believe in myself. And I
Hmm.
certainly wasn't asking questions. I was not being curious. I was not being authentic to who I needed to be and who I wanted to be. And I was certainly not being kind to myself.
Right.
And that I still look back now. I'm closing my eyes and imagining myself talking to the team, and I just cringe because that guy, me now, I would be having a different type of conversation. If I was that guy's supervisor, there would be a lot of mentoring going on
Right,
for
right,
sure.
right. Those moments are not good to hold on to. We gotta let it go, move forward. Let those moments go. I get it. The whole cringe moment. Uh, but you're moving forward and you're learning from that, you know? And in
That's
10
it.
years, you'll look back at that and say, wow, have I grown? This is amazing. How much I've grown. You can give yourself credit,
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely. Like, don't get me wrong. I cringe, but I'm also very happy that those mistakes happened because if they
Yes,
hadn't, I wouldn't been able to have learned the way I needed to. My leadership journey took me on a path where I had to stumble, and that's okay.
always.
And I still make mistakes.
It's okay. And
Yeah.
it's all good. It's okay. It's okay. So tell me, what do you teach now? What do you talk about on Trench Podcast?
So on Trench Leadership, what we talk about is the need to be authentic for ourselves. And when we're talking specifically to new and emerging leaders, we're talking
Hmm.
about the fact that it's okay to make mistakes. That those mistakes, they don't define who we are. The only
Hmm.
person most often that is really freaking out about it is the member themselves. So
Right.
take a moment and breathe and
Hmm.
learn from it. That's okay. But the big message that we offer, and I cannot stress this enough because this is important to me because this is also happens to be my leadership mission statement. We talk a lot about staying curious, be kind, and
Hmm.
lead authentically. Those 3 points, if we are doing that internally and externally to our teams, our direct reports, our subordinates, whatever word we want to use, I have a funny story about subordinates in a second. Then what really matters to us is what we're going to do with that. Can we put our hand on our heart and say we asked all the questions that we could? Can
Hmm.
we say that we were kind to ourselves if it was challenging and we were kind to those around us if it was extra challenging and we really didn't like them? And can we say that as we were going through the process, regardless of mistakes, regardless of what we did, was it authentic? Did it really resonate with what we are and how we want to represent ourselves?
Hmm.
And if you can say yes, then you can sit back and even if it didn't work well, you
Right.
can know that you were you and you did all the best you could. And
Right.
that's all we're asking.
You did you. You did you, which is
Yeah,
important. And that, that shows when you're speaking with other people. It really does.
exactly.
When you are your authentic self, not trying to be somebody else, not trying to be somebody else's on somebody else's podcast or, no, it's really good. And you certainly got a lot of education in terms of the military and how to organize yourself and your thoughts and things like that. I know that was very helpful. And your time there was well served. And then it was time to move forward. We talk about that a lot in business. It's okay to, years ago, they used pivot right after
Hmm.
COVID, right? It's okay. It really is. It is okay. You know,
Absolutely.
God gave us multiple parts of our brain to be creative and use what we have. I mean, we talk about multiple streams of income.
Hmm.
There's multiple streams in our brains we could use. We could use them and do anything. We could leave the military and do something else and love the fact that we were in the military and you served your country, etc. And I love that. I love that. So, and I so appreciate the tools that you're providing to other people. So let's go back to some of the people you interview. Who are the folks that you interview on your podcast?
Well,
Trend
that
leadership,
oh,
leadership
oh,
podcast.
there we go. So I didn't even notice when you had mentioned that. I was like, that sounds fun. But so yeah, it is trench leadership, and thank you for the call out on that. So, what type of guests? Honestly, it is quite an eclectic list, but
Uh-huh.
I do have guests throughout the world. I have quite a few American guests. I
Hmm.
have quite a few guests from they not around the England area, the Britain area. I have quite a few guests from Australia, coincidentally.
Nice.
And yeah, it's cool. It's super cool. And lately I've been having quite a few Canadian guests, which is always a win because Canadians are Canadians. We do what we do. It's fantastic. We love to talk and chat and we just have a good time with it. But the kinds of guests they are, what their experiences bring, that also is quite diverse.
Right.
So we get a lot of coaches
Hmm.
and leadership development experts. I bring in a lot of people we talk about health and wellness because when I was going through my leadership journey and through the degree program, I'm
Hmm.
gonna slow down my talking here. one of
Well,
the
you're
things.
talking to a New Yorker. I can talk kind of fast.
Okay,
Born in London, raised in, well, that whole New York thing. It's okay.
we're totally good then. Yeah. Like so when these guests come on, they're quite well eclectic. So
Huh.
I have a lot of leadership coaches, and which makes sense, the leadership theme podcast. But also during my journey, I realized that the importance to take care of myself is as important, or depending on the situation, more important than what I'm doing with my direct reports. Because if I can't manage myself, if I can't handle what I'm doing, how can I lead? How can I be effective
Right.
for my team? So, and when I was in the military, like I'm back in the military now, it's a reserve position. I
Uh-huh.
do this a little different, but when I had completely left, I realized that I need to be able to take care of myself. And
Mhm.
when I was going through that journey, I realized that saying words like "I'm going to reflect on something" isn't a silly word. It matters. I realized that to take time and actually journal and write things down matters. I
Sure.
realized to take that time and figure it out ourselves matters. So because of that, a lot
Hmm.
of the guests I bring in, they're health and wellness coaches, and we talk about different things. Like last night, I recorded an episode with a psychologist. We talked about burnout, and we're going to have a mini series
Yeah.
about burnout. So we talked very high level burnout, and then we're going to have 4 or 5 episodes in this mini series talking about specific aspects of what burnout means. And in those episodes, we talk about what we do, how we're going to get there, and then at the end of it, every episode we offer. I call them trench tools that enrich everyone's leadership toolkit. And
Nice.
and what these are real world actionable items that the guests and the listeners can say, okay, at the end of this episode about burnout, I can use this thing, and this is the way I can help myself. I can help
Yes.
my teammates. I can help whoever I need to, and that's what we do. So I have the health and wellness folks. I have a lot of people that are offering different practical ways to do what we do. So I have a lot of business people that come on, and we talk not so much about well, we'll talk about money, for example, because if we can't manage our cash and we're having a hard time with that, how, and we have all these stressors at home, how can we do that? So we talk about those different types of things.
What do
And
you do? What do you do to, I'm sorry to interrupt you. What
oh
do you
no,
do to take care of yourself? What are some of the things that you do to take care of yourself?
that is a very good question. So for me, what I do is I try to drink more water because I'm
Uh-huh.
50, I'm 51 years old right now.
Oh, looking good.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. So I am 51, and unfortunately, things affect me a little more than they did when I was 24. So
Uh-huh.
if I'm dehydrated, that matters. It affects my day. If I don't eat properly, that affects my day. So I pay attention to those types of things.
That's great.
It's not easy. I'm not going to lie to you. My job is busy, and often I will have the coffee mug and the water jug sitting beside each other, and it's a struggle to not go for the side of coffee. I usually do, but to be honest, but I get to the water. I drink it all by the end of the day. And so I do that. I pay attention to those things. And then the other things that do to take care of myself is I make sure that I am physically fit. I keep going. I stay active.
Hmm.
And it took me a long time to realize it. But by doing these things, I'm actually being a leader. I'm
Hmm.
actually
That's
doing
right.
what I need to do because when I go and tell my teammates, hey, we need to go to the gym, they see me going. They see that what we as the leaders are doing, we are being judged. We are doing everything we do. So if I tell them to go do something and I'm doing it, I'm
Right.
leading by that example. And they see that
Right.
I'm serious. And that matters.
Lead by example. And it is important to drink that water. Although I did hear on the news the other day, the coffee is good for you. Eight cups of the
I'm a
coffee
big fan of that. That's all I need to hear. I'm
your
going to go.
for your brain. Don't overdo it. But I'm hearing it's good. Deterrent for Alzheimer's. Like how I go, all right, drink
Right
up,
on. I'm in.
everybody. Cheers.
Yeah.
But that water is important, and it is important to hydrate. It's important. The older you get, it's a fact.
Mhm.
We do need to eat the right foods. We do need to work out. I mean, these things we didn't necessarily say when we were younger. You didn't say that you had to do it. We just did things, right?
We just did it. Yeah.
But today, especially in this busy technological time that we're so pulled away so easily, we're doing podcasts, we're on Zoom calls, we're running. I mean, if you have children or pets or whatever it is, it's a constant, and we could be reached anywhere at any time.
Exactly.
Time, it's very, very good to have that decompress time, you know, decompress, drink the water, go to the gym, have a spot of tea.
Mhm. I love it.
And a crumpet or a croissant.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, do that. I mean, it's really important. We're working so much. And you talk about burnout. You can get burnt out. you can get burnt out. At the end of my night, I put on something that is ridiculously not real on TV, a Seinfeld or whatever, so I can laugh and just completely go away from the business as much as I love my business, but take a beat, take a breather.
Oh yeah.
That's healthy. That's a part of running a successful business, right? In order to gain success, you must, like you said, lead by example, take care of yourself, take care of your health. So I love that you have health leaders on your podcast. I love that.
And I thank you very much. I appreciate that. And honestly, the listeners come back with the reviews, and often I get positive reviews about the health and wellness experts, and I get mixed reviews about the leadership coaches and the guests that bring leadership specific tools to the show. And it's interesting that the often well, I'll hear more about how the health and wellness coaches have been far more influential in helping new leaders be able to do what they do. And one of the other things that we come up with is we often talk about the need to be true to ourselves. And so
Mhm.
we bring examples of people that make mistakes. I do that all the time. And we come in there and we talk about that giant error and what did it look like? Why did it look like? How do we figure it out? And how do we learn? What do we learn from it? Now,
Right.
the one thing I do feel it's important to point out is there's a huge difference between accident and
Hmm.
negligence.
Hmm.
Negligence, I am the first person to throw the book at someone. If we knew something and there was we knowingly made that error, I have a hard time feeling sympathy for someone, especially if the environment has been created where we are all feeling safe enough, psychologically safe enough to bring that error forward. During the Apollo era, when we were flying when the Americans were flying and trying to get to the moon,
Hmm.
they were trying to create the spacecraft that would land on the moon. And one of the American engineers had been doing stuff, and back then it was a little slide rule and a pencil. And they made a mistake. They forgot they were changing something from imperial to
Hmm.
metric, and they forgot to do the measurements. And then they didn't realize this until the production of these parts had gone through, and it was significant. So the guy, in this case, happened to be a man. He went to
Hmm.
the supervisor and said, "Hey, this is what I've done." And he expected to be fired. Instead of being fired, he was commended for it. Says, "This is the only
That's
thing we can do.
great.
We can't get to the moon if we can't be honest about what we're going to do." And it's not getting to the moon. Getting to the moon wasn't the hard part. Getting to the moon, landing, and then getting home safely, that was the hard part.
Hmm.
They had perfected the takeoffs and the launches. It was about getting those guys down on the ground and how do we get them back? Because they had one shot to fire off that rocket.
Right.
And if it didn't go, they were home and it was the moon. So it's these things we can't fix these things if we don't know they're broken. And if we as the leaders
That's
don't
right.
create an environment where everyone feels safe enough to speak up, whose
Hmm.
fault is it when it's a mistake? We could debate that all day.
I love that. I was getting very nervous. I didn't know where you were going to go with that. About did they fix it? I hope they fixed it.
Oh, they did. They absolutely fixed it. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
I like that they commended the person who pointed out the error, the mistake.
Hmm.
That's a mistake. It was not intentional. They left it out. And thank God, how many people did he make safe after that?
Oh, I
Right?
tell you, the Americans put 24 people on the moon. So there we go, right? 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, something
No, I
like that.
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. So how much do you love what you do? Right.
I
How much do you love it?
I honestly I love what I do.
You love
The job that I'm in right now. So I joined the mil. After I left Calian, the company I was
it.
working for, they were great. They were a fantastic company. And my boss, Gord, was one of the best supervisors and leaders I've ever had in my entire life. He was fantastic.
Hmm.
But in Ottawa, I was afforded an opportunity to join the military again as a reservist, so a part-time job. But it was a full-time salary. So I
Oh,
got back in.
nice.
Oh, it was incredible. I was very, very lucky. And I was the squadron warrant officer at 412 Squadron, which is our version of the Air Force One Squadron. So it's four Challenger jets, and we do our thing. So my job was to be part of the command team partnership with the commanding officer. So I did that for a couple of years. And in our system, I was fortunate enough to get promoted. So I became what's called a chief warrant officer. That's the highest rank non-commissioned member in our MIS system can achieve. And I took over as the Royal Canadian Air Force Air Headquarters Air Staff Chief Warrant Officer, which is just a fancy way of saying I'm the Chief Warrant Officer for the
Uh-huh.
headquarters element. And what I do is that I am the commanding officer's command team partner. So my job is to advise on morale, welfare, know the pulse of the team, know what's
Hmm.
going on, what's good, what's not so good. I do a lot of mentorship, a lot of coaching, a lot of professional development. And the other part of my job, which I don't do too much because just the senior level of the nature of where I work, is when the commanding officer, after her and I, in this case, we've sat down, if we've had a big talk, and ultimately it's the commanding officer who makes the decision. My job is simply to advise. So if we're talking and we don't agree, even if we don't agree on something, once we're in the office and she says, "Okay, Simon, press, this is the decision I've made," whether or not I agree with it or not, I exit that office. No one knows if I agreed with her or not. But my job is to make sure that lawful command is followed as quickly and efficiently as possible. So I'm usually a pretty jovial guy, but if I'm my job is to push an unpopular choice, then I'm not a jovial guy, and I can drop that hammer if I need to. So
Right.
there's that aspect. I love doing that. I love being back in the military, but being in the military as the leader that I want to be.
Hmm.
Earlier, you heard me talk about stay curious, be kind, lead
Yes.
authentically. That is my leadership mission statement for me. That's what I use for the
Fantastic.
podcast and what I use for myself and how I try to lead at work. So that's great. But then
I love that you've done that for you for yourself because you have to remind yourself, right? It
that's
it has
exactly it.
it has to be your mantra in order to live it.
That's exactly it. And I knew I wanted one. And I had a tagline I had in my podcast: leadership without vision limits the depth of your possibilities. And,
Hmm.
and and I believe it, but ultimately, honestly, I was just saying the words. It didn't ring true with me.
Mm,
I won't kill you with the story about how I got to this leadership mission statement, but suffice it to say, it rings true to me. When I say those words out loud, I get tingles because it is me. It's how I want to do it.
I love it. You believe it.
I really truly do. And the best part is it's easy for me to follow because I believe in it. So I ask questions. I have learned that as a leader, when things are going a little awry and someone comes to me and says they have a problem, I've learned to go and ask questions, get
Mm,
all sides of the perspectives, realizing that I don't know. And the
right.
first question I start with every single time is, what do I really know? What do I know in this situation? Do I know this person is upset? Do I know what the other person is thinking? Or am I inserting my own assumptions, perceptions, or biases inside that? So
Mm,
I've developed a leadership framework where we talk about just that exact thing. What do I really know? And we talk about how our assumptions, our perceptions, and our biases affect our decision making process as we go along, as we're leading.
right.
And I wish I had learned that a lot earlier because when I was a brand new leader, I made all kinds of decisions based off of what the first person was telling me, or if I didn't like the person that was there, or whatever. I made mistakes. It's fine. I learned from it. And now what I do is I take that and I will ask myself these questions. Do I know all the answers? And more often than not, I don't. And that's
Right.
okay.
Sure.
We got to
Hmm.
figure it out. And then we go and we talk about what are we doing? What assumptions or perceptions or biases are feeding into us to make us to maybe skew our decision making process? And we talk about that. And then we all talk about mistakes that we've made. I have a few doozies. I've made some pretty epic errors. And
Don't we all?
it's crazy. And then what I do is I invite everyone to sit back and imagine that moment when they were making that mistake. Look back at it and think about it, and think about what it felt like in that moment. What was your body physiologically telling you in that moment? Because for me, when I know that I'm not acting in a way that's honest to myself and authentic, when I know that I'm rushing, when I know that I haven't asked all the questions, when I know that I'm not being kind to myself or others,
Right.
my body, I call it, it feels like I'm covered in ants. I can feel them running all over me because I'm spooled up. And as everyone has now seen, I'm a spilly beer talker. My hands are all over the place. I
But
talk
that's okay.
fast.
You know what?
Yeah,
I like where you're going with all this because um when you say you have you put your well, you're pretty much putting your whole self in, right?
absolutely.
You're putting yourself in the position of the other person. You're taking your time and you're being present, which is really I think what it's all about. Being present in more ways than one, right? You're not
Absolutely.
just topically looking at the information. You're looking at the whole picture, which I love. I really love that. And I think um, that's what makes people comfortable, right? Makes people comfortable on your podcast. And when you're surrounding yourself with other people, just being yourself, as you mentioned before, kind, authentic, be you, and you will gather kind, authentic, and wonderful people. Kind begats kind, right?
Absolutely. And that's the thing. When the team sees that when I go to them and say, hey, listen, I wanted to create an environment where everyone can feel as though they can come talk to me with their problems, their
Hmm.
challenges, whatever it might be, whatever word we want to use.
Right.
And every time I go into a new role, and I'm talking about this in my first, group setting, I get a
Hmm.
lot of eye rolls. because traditionally the chief warrant officer is kind of a hard ass. He's kind of tough.
Right.
He's grumble. I've been in the military for 29 years. I'm old, according to these 25-year-olds, which that stings. I'm only 51. I've got this experience, and there's a perception that the
Hmm.
chief warrant officer, the position, and the person has to be kind of crusty because they're old and grumbling. They're just counting
That's their
days to
job.
retire. It's their job.
That's their job.
So for me, I can do that and I will do that if I need to, but it's not my preferred method. I prefer to create an environment where people can come talk to me
Hmm.
and discuss whatever they need. And I believe that I do that. And I ask and I make those questions very clear that am I doing this? Am I not doing this? I stay curious. I ask if I
Hmm.
think. I know what I think, but how do I know if I don't ask?
I love it.
And that environment makes it so that people can come to me, and people do come to talk to me, and that's helpful.
Well, it's
Uh,
your personality. You make it, I want to ask you a question. You mentioned the guy you worked for before. You said he was a really nice guy. He was a nice person, and you really enjoyed working for him. What was it about this guy? You said Culligan. Is that where you worked?
Callian, yes, that's correct. Yeah,
Oh, no ginkgo this morning, and I almost got it. That was great.
you're very close. I'm impressed.
Thank
Yeah,
you. And I didn't even write it down.
yeah,
What was it that you liked about this person? What made you attracted to the job because of this person?
yeah. It's a great question. So what I'll start by saying what the job was at Callian. So I was what was called a contract manager. So I had Callian is a company that predominantly works with defense, and they get contracts to do different things.
Hmm.
And my job was to manage contracts for D&D, the Department of National Defense, our version of DoD,
Uh-huh.
and we manage these contracts. So my job was to manage the contracts and the people inside the contracts. And it was
Hmm.
a good job. I liked what I was doing, but it wasn't hard. It was not difficult to do. I liked the interaction with the team. I liked the fact that I was still working. It happened to be my contracts were all with D&D, so I was still
Hmm.
kind of had my feet in the military, so that was kind of nice. But the problem with it, with any profit-driven organization, is that they're trying to make money, and I can't beget them. That's their goal.
Right.
My problem is I didn't care about that, and I made that very, very clear. Yeah, I made that very clear in the interview, and this finally gets me to my point about Gord. Gord is talking to me, say, hey, Simon, you seem really keen. You seem like a guy who would be doing very, very well in the military. Why would you leave? I said, well, it's not true to who I want to be anymore. I need to discover what it means to be Simon, but not with that rank, not with that military uh, title attached to it. I need to understand that. And unbeknownst to me, that was the best answer I could have given, because it had come down to me and one other guy, and we were doing the second interview. The other guy said, "Well, because I want to make a bunch of money, and I know Callion's a good company and this and that." Like, so it because I wasn't worried about the cash. Gord says, "Okay, this guy's probably going to work a little bit harder for me if I need to, because he's more concerned about the people."
Love it.
And so that worked. So I did that, and that was kind of the first time that I knew Gord. I had an inkling Gord might be a good leader. And then the thing was, as I worked there, and I was there for a shade over 2 years,
Hmm.
Gord he's down to earth.
I like
He's
that.
humble and he's honest. And Gord, at the same token, what I was really impressed with Gord is he can still make those hard calls, and he'll do it. And it affects him. It hurts him when someone else is being hurt. But at the end of the day, he knows he needs to make those calls. And I was very, very impressed with that. He just recognized that was a part of his job. And what ultimately what the most inspiring thing I found about Gord was how he did his job. He
Hmm.
led that in a way that was with empathy and an understanding that we might not like what's going on, but we still have a job to do and we have to do it. And it wasn't just shut up and go and do it like I experienced
Right.
all the time in the
That makes all
military.
the difference.
Exactly. He was true to himself, and it was a great example of that's the type of guy I want to be. And to be completely honest, Callion's a great company. We got to go golfing all the time on their dime. I had an expense account.
Right.
I got to take people for lunch all the time, and I'm a chatty guy, so I got to interact with people. So
That's nice. I love that. So, I mean, this is what obviously we got set up on this call because this is what we believe in. I mean, my whole goal is to see people succeed with kindness. So we have that in common, and that's why you're on this podcast, and I can't wait to be on yours.
I can't wait.
So our parting words, what would you like to leave our listeners with?
That's an excellent question. So for parting words, My thought would be that to understand that as we're going along our leadership journey, using the term leadership journey is okay.
Uh-huh.
As you're looking back and you're reflecting, that using those words is okay. If it might not be normal for your environment, then that's
Hmm.
okay. But use words that make sense to you. Before had this epiphany, I would never talk about my leadership journey. I wouldn't talk about mission statements. Those were silly. They were just catchphrases. They were just words. But now they
Right.
have a personal connection to me, which
To
brings me
your
to my
life.
point.
Hmm.
Lead the way in a way that makes most sense for you. Listen to the things that connect to you. Go to Trench Leadership. Listen to some of the episodes, and
There
if they
you
resonate with you, great, fantastic. Please leave a review.
go.
And and if they don't, also let me know. If you don't like my voice, you think I speak too fast, I don't know. You know, like some of the guests I bring in, I can't fix what I don't know is broken. And as leaders, it's our job to make sure that we are helping each other be the very best that we can be. We're all in it
I say,
together.
I love it. I say, if you don't like the way I speak, don't listen.
I say the exact
That's
same
the New
thing.
York in me. You don't like it? Don't listen. Change the
Get out of
channel.
here. Yeah. I love it.
It's been a pleasure having you. Can you tell us again how we can find you? Are
Yeah,
you on social media, all social media aspects?
absolutely. Thank you so
Okay.
much for the opportunity. This has been a real pleasure being here. So, if anyone wants to reach out to me, do you want to hear some more? You can certainly go to Trench Leadership, a podcast from the front. Although I'm shifting it now, the name will just be Trench Leadership. You can
Okay.
find that wherever you find your favorite podcast. And there's the website, of course, trenchleadership.ca or trenchleadershipmediagroup.ca. And or I'm on LinkedIn. I recommend LinkedIn. I'm on there most often.
Oh,
Hit
good
me a
for you.
note. Oh, it's fantastic. That's where I get the majority of things happening. It's great. I'm on Instagram, a teeny tiny bit for X, but I don't do too much there. And Facebook to a smaller extent as well. So I do recommend Instagram or at trench underscore leadership or really LinkedIn is the best way to go. Or you could email me at simonk at trenchleadership.ca.
This is great. Thank you. It's been great. Thank you so much for being here today. And I hope you come back, right?
Oh, I would very much love to come back. I can't wait to have you on our show too.
Well, I'll be there. I'll be there with
Fantastic.
bells on. All right. Take care.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.